Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way to 2025 and review them. And now we are on to Snakedance. Forgive me, I apologize. It's just every time I rewatch this episode, I walk away from it with this feeling of dread and bleakness. And maybe that's intentional because it is a very dark and bleak episode, especially by the end of it. I do like this episode. I do like this. I like this episode a lot. I think this is the better of the two Mara-centered episodes. And I think I said this in my previous review. My review for Kinda. I like Kinda, the episode. It's just I think Snakedance is better because it actually explores the lore a little bit better. It does, contradict a little bit of what's been said or done in Kinda, but for the most part, I think these two episodes really complement each other very beautifully. I think, and especially when it comes to the Mara. Now, I like the way the episode begins with the Doctor not really sure how they even landed on the planet Menusa, and I love how they tied this entire episode to Tegan and Tegan's relationship with the Mara. Tegan's been gone for a bit, and she's back now. So naturally, especially considering, and I say this all the time, the benefit of hindsight, because I know what happens next in the season. Considering what's about to happen next in this season, it's good that they wrapped up this little storyline with the Mara on Tegan on the second episode of the season, right after bringing Tegan back, because that's how vital Tegan is to the Mara storyline. Which kind of does beg the question, like, if the Doctor hadn't shown up in Amsterdam when he did, and he hadn't picked up Tegan to travel with him again, would Tegan be affected by the Mara on her own, without the Doctor, without anyone to help her or protect her? Is it a good thing that she met the Doctor again and she had the Doctor and Nyssa with her when she went through this Mara episode? Or perhaps is it the whole being back on the TARDIS again that actually caused the Mara to resurface in her mind all over again? I suppose that's an interesting question to be posed to this episode. But overall, I think Janet Fielding put on a masterclass in acting, especially compared to the times this episode was shot. I mean, Janet Fielding was incredible in this episode. Sadly, I think by around part 3, she wasn't in the episode all that much. That's, I suppose, a negative. I mean, the story is about her. The story clearly revolves around her. I mean, every once in a while you get a storyline, especially since John Nathan Turner took over. Every once in a while you get a storyline or rather a serial that specifically homes in on a particular companion. And this was, of course, Tegan's time to shine. And I think she really stepped up to the plate. I love everything that Jen Fielding did in this episode. I really do love Tegan's character arc in this serial. And I really do. I always say that Nyssa is my favorite of the Fifth Doctor companions. And I think she did all right in this episode. She was really, really fun to see. Of course, trying to break the Doctor out of the prison when he was imprisoned in part 3. But for the most part, I don't think Nyssa did all that much. She basically had one job, looking after Tegan, and she lost her twice in this episode. So there's that. Yeah, I really don't think that this was a good showing for Nessa. I liked in the beginning of the episode, where she really tries to make the Doctor see that she changed her clothes, and the Doctor is being so completely absent-minded that he just doesn't notice it. And I mean, that's kind of the Doctor's character to a T. So I thought that was kind of funny. But speaking of the Doctor, I think this is definitely one of those episodes that really challenges Peter Davison's version of the Doctor. Really puts this Doctor to the test, and it's one of those episodes that where this Doctor really matures into his own. I said that this whole trend really started with Earthshock, and usually the second season for most Doctors is when the Doctor gets more comfortable in his own shoes, so to speak, and really just becomes the iconic Doctor that we remember. And I definitely think Peter Davison is stepping into that role now, especially after Arc of Infinity and now with Snakedance, and of course, all the spoiler alert, all the Black Guardian stuff that it's about to happen later in the season. So yeah, I really do think that this episode is really a nice highlight for Peter Davison's Doctor. Unfortunately, it also highlights some of the Fifth Doctor's not so bright moments of, and I think I said this in one of the reviews for previous season, is that the Fifth Doctor doesn't have the sense of authority that his predecessors had, and a lot of it I think can be attributed to the fact that he was the youngest Doctor, the youngest actor to take on the role at the time. People tend to take the Doctor less seriously in this incarnation as opposed to the predecessors. I mean, and credit where it's due, even Matt Smith, the youngest actor to play the Doctor as the Doctor, of course, in the show's history, he had a sort of commanding presence to compensate for his youthful appearance. I don't think Peter Davison has that. And I mean, it's not a fault of the actor. That's just how the episodes are written, and that's why a lot of the times, and especially in this episode, people in positions of authority don't tend to take the Doctor very seriously and treat him like a fool, which is the sort of stuff that never would have happened with Tom Baker's Doctor or any of the previous Doctors because of just how they carried themselves in the story. And that is a problem for the Fifth Doctor. That is a problem that the Fifth Doctor is going to have to continue to face until, of course, his regeneration, which is a whole other can of worms that I don't want to open at the moment. But yeah, not really the best showing for the Doctor in this regard. But I really do think that just like Janet Fielding, Peter Davison really gives it his all in this episode, especially in part 4. And he really does have a lot of cool standout doctorish moments all throughout the serial, and I really do like that. As for the one-off characters, first of all, it's nice to see Elizabeth Sladen's husband in this episode is playing the what's the guy's name? The showman, the ringmaster, the guy with the Hall of Mirrors. Yeah, that's Elizabeth Sladen's husband. I don't know if you knew that. He pops up several times throughout Doctor Who, especially on the TV show side of things. But yeah, it was fun to see him. I think he really did nailed that performance of the balance between the overly bombastic showman and like the concerned guy really scared for his life when he finds out what he's gotten himself into. So I did like his performance in this episode. The guy Lon, I think his name is, he was all right. I mean, as a nice side henchman for the Mara to take over, served his purpose. I mean, he was annoying and obnoxious, and I guess that's kind of the point. So I think the actor did a good job there. Same thing. I mean, again, not much to say for any of the other characters, like the mother character, the I think the director, I think, is the guy's title, and his assistant. They're all characters that really serve their purpose in the story, I suppose. I mean, again, the majority of the story does focus around the Mara storyline and Tegan, but I think other than the TARDIS crew, the big major standout in the episode, the big standout character in the episode isn't even a character. It's the planet Menusa, which for the budget that they had and for what they were able to pull off with what they had at the time, I think Planet Menusa looks great. You don't really get to see too much of the planet. I mean, when you do actually venture outside the city, the planet looks incredibly barren and kind of like lifeless. And I guess that's kind of the point of this planet in the story. But when you're actually in the city, in the marketplace, and you see the festival, this planet really comes alive, and I love that. First of all, I'm grateful that in modern Doctor Who they have the budget and the effects and the ability to take a scene like this and make it look much more vibrant and much more like a proper city. A good example that comes off the top of my head is the Rings of Akatan. So it's like, imagine the sort of the marketplace in the Rings of Akatan, just a lot smaller and with a lot smaller budget, and that's kind of what you get here with Planet Menusa. And again, I always love it when these episodes in Doctor Who manage to make an a story feels way bigger than what you're actually seeing on screen. They talk a lot about the history and the lore and the mythology of the planet Menusa and the Sumaran Empire and all that stuff, and it's great. It's great that there's this much attention to detail with, of course, the limited screen time that they were able to give to this episode. I love, of course, the costumes, and I mean, I think the prop design nailed it out of the park in this episode with all the artifacts and knickknacks and the stuff in the director's office alone. I mean, I could just sit there all day and look at random stuff in the background, not even paying attention to what they're saying, and have a really good time doing it. And I love the costumes. By the way, I spoke about the mother. I think the mother has a completely different outfit every scene she's in. Like I didn't count that. I didn't actually check it, but I mean, she changes her wardrobe like 4, 5, 6 times in the entire episode. So it's kind of weird. Speaking of attire, I actually really do think Lon's attire by the end of the episode with the whole ceremony stuff, I think it was very fitting. It looks ridiculous, but I guess, I mean, that's kind of the point because he's trying to emulate something that happened 500 years ago. So yeah, I think that was again, nice attention to detail, a nice, great world building, and that's I think one of my favorite parts about this episode, and one of my favorite parts in Doctor Who, the world building, which I wished they expanded on a bit more in further stories. And of course, I enjoyed the festival with the giant fake snake and all that. By the way, the snake, the Mara, I think it definitely looks a lot better than the original look of the Mara in Kinda. Obviously, for obvious reasons, not as good as the CGI version in the sort of re-release versions. But for the most part, I mean, I think it looks good. It looks like a snake. I mean, it looks at times it looks terrifying. Of course, then of course you realize that it's just a giant stupid puppet. But there are times when the Mara actually genuinely looks like a threat, and that's really what you're looking forward to in a villain on this caliber. So yeah, and of course, a lot of the threat of the Mara comes from the performances and the actors and the voice that they gave the Mara in this episode. But yeah, overall, like I said, I think the major standout of the episode is the way the planet looks. But not much else. None of the characters are particularly very interesting. It's really just you know you're following the story of the Mara and Tegan and its effects on Tegan and the Doctor and Nissa and all the other characters around it, and that's really what makes this episode special, and that's kind of why I'm feeling this bleak and miserable feeling that I have in this episode because that's kind of how this episode was designed to make us feel. The Mara, remember, the Mara draws on all the negative parts of our being, and I suppose it really accentuated it in my case. when watching this episode. And and I think the way the episode ends is really the perfect cherry on top of all that. It's just the doctor comforting Tegan after everything that she just went through with the Mara, promising, probably in vain, that it's all over and the Mara is gone. Obviously, the Mara shows up again in Big Finish and sort of other places, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, I think the doctor did what he had to do, telling Tegan that she's safe now. And that's really all one can hope for in a friend like the doctor. So yeah, that's really kind of all my thoughts on this episode. I like it a lot. It's just I don't like the way it makes me feel at the end. But yeah, hopefully we got some more cheerful episodes coming on down the pipeline, especially with the next episode, which happens to have the return of a certain character that I'm actually very excited to see again. So I'll leave you with that. And until next time, everybody, let me know, first of all, let me know what you think about this episode. Let me know how this episode makes you feel. How does it make you feel? And I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now, and don't dance with snakes. Bye. Hello again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. See you next time.